guys, welcome back! 20 years ago, this revolutionary console took the world by storm. It was Sony's revenge against Nintendo, but the main victim ended up being Sega. Let's take a look at its origins and browse through my personal favorite 10 video games on the system.
Already available in Japan since December of 1994, the PlayStation was placed on store shelves in the United States by September the 9th of 1995, with an unbeatable price tag of $299. 20 days later, it was also released in Europe with a huge marketing campaign composed of weird commercials that simply transmitted the feeling of if we own a PlayStation, we would be transported to this uncanny and amazing world. As you all know, the PlayStation was supposed to be a CD-ROM add-on for the Super Nintendo, but the Mario guys pulled the plug right at the last moment, leaving Sony hanging up with a prototype and with a lot of cash spent on product development. So the days of two-dimensional sprites and scrolling were over. Instead, we got these immense, exciting and fully explorable new worlds. And with that in mind, let's take a look at my favorite 10 video games on the original PlayStation.
Number 10.
Silent Hill is, for me, the ultimate survival horror game. We wander around this eerie, fog-shrouded town searching for the main character's daughter, but instead we'll discover some horrific-looking creatures that we must smash with our trusty iron bar. I simply can't recall other title with such an endlessly tense atmosphere and with this spectral soundtrack and effects, along with these gloomy visuals. Even today, Silent Hill is creepy as hell.
Number 9.
I remember being in my parents' living room playing this game, and in the meanwhile, my grandfather walked in and asked, "Hey Pete, what are you watching on TV? What race is this?" That was a race replay in Gran Turismo 2, and it could have fooled anyone, cause it looked really good and felt real. The game featured over 600 highly detailed vehicles and a realistically robust customization system. That was a huge accomplishment never seen before. Well, it was kind of seen in the first Gran Turismo, but not at this level. This was when everyone woke up and started developing real racing games.
Number 8.
WipeOut 2097, or WipeOut XL as it is known in the US, was the highly improved follow-up to WipeOut, Sony's furious answer to Nintendo's F-Zero, and gave us faster vehicles, new weapons and even more amazing tracks. Also, the memorable soundtrack was a perfect match to this futuristic, fast-paced racing title. As incredible as it may sound, there was also in 1999 an Amiga version of WipeOut 2097. It was one of the very last commercial Amiga games. Psygnosis wasn't just gonna say goodbye to the Amiga without releasing one more awesome hit. After this, and as a consequence of Sony's 1993 acquirement, the Psygnosis brand vanished completely and became known as Sony Computer Entertainment Studio Liverpool.
Number 7.
Kurushi, also known as IQ Intelligent Cube in the United States and Japan, is a brilliant and kind of obscure puzzle game exclusive to the PlayStation that places us on a long and narrow grid with a wall of cubes tumbling towards us in different patterns. We simply have to run around lighting up squares on the grid and then push a button to eliminate any cubes currently on those squares, sinking them into the ground. Some of the cubes are lit up, and when they're sunk, they will highlight adjacent squares on the grid for us to trigger at exactly the right time. This sounds easy, but if we're not focused enough or somehow distracted with something else, well, it's game over. To be more specific, if we do as much as blink an eye, we're done and buried. Still, I consider Kurushi one of the best puzzle games to grace the genre in the late 90s.
Number 6.
Take a good look at me. You know that there's air missing on my head. But you know why? Cause Alundra came in and left me crying, swearing, throwing dual shocks against pillows and pulling air out. That's all the things that this game made me do, but it is a pretty damn good game in every aspect. Graphically stunning and with a superb soundtrack, Alundra will test every single one of our limits. It has one of the most amazing stories ever on a video game, and its gameplay is somewhat a ripoff of Zelda's Link to the Past, but who cares? I've placed it in number 6 because of all the frustration and harsh times it made me pass. An amazing experience nonetheless.
Number 5.
Darius is based on the arcade game from 1997 developed by Taito and is one of my favorite shooters on the original PlayStation. It was as well the series' first venture into a 2.5D style graphics. The power-up system implemented is something quite nice, where we can steal weapons from the enemy ships, and each enemy ship gives us different style of power-ups. A very nice feature indeed. It is definitely one of the best scrolling shooters of the 32-bit generation.
Number 4.
R-Type Delta is another PlayStation exclusive that is simply the best shooter on the system. It features a clever gameplay strategy with new tactics and amazing level design that just makes us strategically use the force pod that, as you all know, was always our best friend against the Baidu Empire since the very first R-Type from 1987. R-Type Delta was also the first game in the series rendered in full 3D graphics. New ships were also presented for the first time, each of which gives a different gameplay experience to the player, and the well-timed soundtrack matches perfectly with the on-screen action, making R-Type Delta an almost cinematic experience. Highly recommended.
Number 3.
Syphon Filter is a hell of a challenging and immersive game. Its levels encouraged exploration and as well strategy. This 1999 third-person shooter stealth game was almost cancelled several times due to lack of inspiration from the team behind its development. After the huge commercial success of Syphon Filter, the inexperienced Eidetic studio ended up bought by Sony Computer Entertainment America and went on developing 6 more titles for the Syphon Filter series. I enjoy quite a lot stealth type of games, and in this one we have to silently take down the enemies. Quite generic, you may say, But this mix of stealth action hybrid gameplay performed by this super spy, tougher than James Bond himself, is really highlighted by the game's artificial intelligence that is one of the most impressive I've ever seen till today.
Number 2.
The PlayStation is known for bringing 3D worlds to the masses. So, what is this 2D game doing in second place on my list? Because it's simply one of the best games I've ever played. RPG elements, the expansive map, unlockable skills and backtracking originated the term Metroidvania, even if, by as far as 1986, there was the very first title with a similar gameplay on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. The PlayStation was an awesome tool for Konami to amplify the 2D graphics of Symphony of the Night. And I'm glad that, instead of delving into the trendy territory of early 3D gaming, they've opted to maintain the series' two-dimensional heritage. Did I mention the superb soundtrack? So amazingly good, with mixed elements from techno, gothic, rock, classic, jazz and even thrash and black metal. So good. Awkwardly, this title was kind of obscured for many years, mainly because of Konami's poor marketing campaign outside Japan, and only the power of word of mouth would make it a sleeper hit and a true classic video game that is coveted by collectors.
Number 1.
Metal Gear Solid is a groundbreaking video game in terms of presentation and storytelling. It is one of the first games that truly felt like an interactive movie. Even those huge long cutscenes are a joy to watch. The game tries and wins on telling a captivating and exciting story and also creating iconic characters with a slight taste of silliness that simply gives it charisma that is lacking in all other non-Metal Gear stealth video games. Sneaking around beneath a cardboard box is something that I never saw before playing Metal Gear Solid, and it was so freaking amusing and compelling. It's one of those moments that I'll forever keep on my private memory box, not forgetting one of the most amazing boss battles ever on the history of video games: Psycho Mantis vs Solid Snake. Games for the original PlayStation or PS1 continued to be produced till March of 2006, by a time when the PS2 reached its midlife and was well established as leader of the 128-bit generation. But I'll get to that in one of my next videos, cause the 15th birthday of the PlayStation 2 is just around the corner. In the middle of all the conflict between Sony and Nintendo was Sega, that suffered from that kind of private war, mainly for its badly timed new console releases. Even in Sega countries like Portugal, the PlayStation ruled right from the very start, completely crushing the Saturn by Christmas of 1995. Needless to say that, after the decay of Sega, Portugal became Europe's #1 PlayStation country. Sort of. So guys, what's your favorite games on the PlayStation? Let me know on the comments below. And if you've enjoyed my personal list, well, simply click the like, share and subscribe buttons. It's that simple. Also, check these videos and all the others available on my channel. I also cover a lot of much older stuff from the 80s, like the ZX Spectrum and the Amiga. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you all next week.